What's up, guys? This is Dash,
Josh.
and we are Duokage, and we're here for a Boruto chapter review. It's chapter 58. It's been a month since the last one. Always has been with the manga. Before we start, what do you think of that? The manga being monthly. Do you like that?
No, dude, it feels weird for me having to animate too close to the manga. It really messes with my timelines with it, forwarding backwards.
Yeah.
And like so close.
Yeah, I understand the pacing. Yeah, one thing about the Boruto in general, both the anime and manga, the pacing is, it's tricky to say the least.
So we talk about the pacing, like this, and sometimes I forget, like when you talk about the comparisons, like what's there and what's not, and like when I see them, like, oh, that wasn't there in the manga.
Oh right,
That's
I
what I'm
understand
trying to
what you
explain.
mean. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, because it's so close. I'm like, what, really?
I do like recheck from time to time.
Yeah, I'm not like you. I don't reach. I up until recently, I didn't really recheck, and it really messed with me, especially when I first started reading the manga.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what we think of pacing. Now, this chapter, before you even read the chapter, it has a beautiful double spread page. It's full colored. You've got, great characters. You've got, the main characters, like the big players, and some. I don't know why they had Chocho there. Yeah, so the chapter starts out with Boruto having a discussion with Naruto about taking the Byakugan pills, which were created by Amato. If you remember from the last chapter, he explains that these were pills designed by him, and they were made for the purpose of taking down Otsutsuki, with their Byakugan powers. Like, that's the main thing about the pills.
It's anti-Byakugan, and it's made to
Suppress
your drugs, if you want. I don't know.
Well, the drug right now, with its use on Boruto, it's going to suppress his Otsutsukification.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to do. But
The side effects.
there are possible side effects in which he could die. It's just a possibility, though. So Naruto explains that to Boruto, and Boruto, without hesitation, he just takes the pills, even though Naruto had told him, like, he doesn't need to if he doesn't want to.
I can't wait to see this part animated.
For sure, it's gonna be funny.
It makes me laugh like a motherfucker.
It's gonna be funny, and yet it's gonna be a great moment for Boruto's character growth, which I want to mention. Naruto, he gets mad at him like a father would be. Like, oh, why do you take the pills without, listening to what I said or considering? But Boruto then explains that he'd been thinking about this for a long time, like it's a possible outcome or situation he'd been thinking about. So he's been ready to take precautions,
And
to
he's
take
also
measures.
ready to die for the sake of not becoming Otsutsuki.
Yeah, for the world, for the village. Yeah, he's
You know
a
what?
great character moment for Boruto.
Yeah, not looking like such a brat.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Boruto telling Kawaki he's taking meds, and Kawaki gets pissed off because he's supposed to, or at least they had a plan to implant his karma into Code's body, and Boruto gets mad back and says it was just a hypothetical.
Yeah.
He said he wants more options, basically. He didn't say exactly that way, but that's what he was implying.
Yeah.
And
It's really, I would side with Boruto because Amato, he's a scientist, so he's made the pills for the sole purpose of suppressing it. So it is a viable option at this point. Whereas Kawaki's option is more of a, like Boruto said, a hypothetical. So, what if they aren't strong enough to do it in the first place? And what if they do get strong? But Code is maybe much more stronger than they had expected, and they don't have an actual plan on. They don't really know how to implant the karma in the first place. They just, when people do that, they plan for something, but when they get there, they're like dumbfounded. Yeah, there are moments in life, I'm sure you all would have experienced that. So,
do you think Amado is
trustworthy?
Yeah, trustworthy.
No, definitely not. But I mean, for right now, I'll take him for his word because there's nothing we can.
But I think we can take him for his word because it benefits him.
Yeah, I think,
He's gonna
and this this sort of ties into what happens later in the chapter. He sort of helps Kawaki in his descent to madness, or darkness, more like. Like he's a scientist. He was a scientist for Gaara, a soul scientist.
I
Just
think
one dude.
Kawaki's always gonna sin for Naruto.
Sorry.
I think Kawaki's always gonna sin for
Naruto.
Lord Seven.
Lord Seven. Daddy. His true daddy. I don't know. I mean, yeah, for sure. He's definitely like a Naruto fanboy right now. But
he always will.
I think, yeah. Except he has a twisted view in the world for sure. Yeah. So I was gonna say with Amato, he's got since he was the only scientist for the car organization, he's got he's got every bit of data and information on the Otsutsuki because he's been studying them. So he definitely knows how karma works. He's been studying karma. Like, he can definitely implant another new karma onto Kawaki scientifically, and I think it'll function as, because I don't know who could possibly be, since in the time skip we see it's a black karma, right? Like a normal karma.
Yes.
Right. So that means he's a vessel again. But I don't know what other Otsutsuki there would there be if that were the case. I think it's gonna be like, I think they're just gonna retcon it maybe, or just re-edit it, or whatever they say in the story. But my theory is it's gonna be like Code. He's gonna be like Code, as in his body's already like pretty much 80% Otsutsuki. He just gets a white karma. Well, a white, in this case it's a black karma, but it functions like a white karma. He isn't a vessel. And basically Amato helps him. That's what I think would happen. That'd be pretty cool. Well, I think that'd be a pretty cool explanation to how Kawaki gets his karma back, because Amato's not trustworthy. And he has a plan.
Yeah, his agenda.
What do you think he could get out of
Do you
it?
think it's just not enough?
I don't know. Like, it's tricky. Like, what? Because he's a smart dude, so he's definitely got like a malevolent plan in his head. But I don't know what his actual agenda is. We'll have to see. We didn't get any of that in today's chapter. The chapters recently, the recent ones have shown a lot of Amato explaining this and that, diving deep into what he thinks should be done, so on and so forth. But this chapter didn't have any of that, and a lot of people online are praising that, because we got a good amount of action here, like pure action in this chapter. But I really miss those Amato, monologues. They're great.
True.
Yeah, but I did appreciate this chapter. It was full of action. While arguing, Sarada, wants them to stop, basically, so that they can get to their training, because they're doing some chakra control training. So she tells them to shut up and focus. And Kawaki and Boruto, they're having none of it. They're not listening to Sarada. They're just continuing to argue. And Sarada makes clear that she's the captain of the team, and she's trying to tell them to like shut up and train. And Kawaki says, "Shut up, you idiot! You're nothing to me." And this pisses Sarada off throughout the chapter. And Code mentions, or questions more like, Code questions Sarada, saying, "Why are we even doing this type of training, chakra control?
Yeah.
It's gonna take like 8 years or longer, whatnot, and it's probably not gonna be enough anyways to beat Code. So why bother in the first place? This is just traditional. It's old. It's outdated." And Boruto then comes back at him and says, starts getting really angry, saying, "Why you looking down on shinobi traditions? They've worked for millennia with tons of shinobi." And this leads to Mitsuki asking Kawaki what he suggests, and Kawaki, says he has an option where it's really easy to do, and they'd enjoy it anyway. And he just whips his arm out and tries to penetrate Mitsuki, but Mitsuki, he's a big boy. He has big brain to dodges that shit easily and wraps his snakes around his arm. And this is where we start fighting it. What did you think of the fight?
I don't know. I was really annoyed at Kawaki during this because I understand most of it stemmed from like fear. He keeps letting that happen. He let it happen with Delta. He goes crazy, gets pissed off. He lets it happen with Jigen. He goes crazy, gets pissed off at people. It's kind of emotional, man.
Yeah, I mean, I get his character, but yeah, I do know what you mean too.
I do like the character though, especially when he shows like the good side of him.
Yeah, this chapter really does well for Kawaki's. I mean, earlier in the video, I praised Boruto's character development in this chapter, but I really have to mention that I forgot to mention that this chapter does well for Kawaki's character development too. You know, he's starting to show early signs of him going towards a path of leaning towards a path of darkness, just like Sasuke did in Part 1 Naruto and Shippuden, like yearning for power, because during the fight he instinctively tries to uses his karma, but he doesn't actually have a karma, so to absorb Boruto's jutsu, but well, he doesn't. He gets hurt badly and he loses that sparring match, and he has this inner monologue and he's all angry, and
He relies on Jigen.
he relies on Jigen, he relies on the karma, like he wanted it gone, but how much of his inner self, his character, merged with that aspect of it, you know, karma seal. So it does well on his character development, because it shows, you know, signs this early that he's gonna lead down to what we know in the time skip where they're fighting. It shows early signs, foreshadowing. It's great. So Boruto protects Sarada and asks Kawaki what he thinks he's doing, you know, because he was. It looked like as if he was gonna kill her, you know, coming at her from behind, you know, killer intent from the looks of it. But then Kawaki says, you know, chill out. He's just sparring her. He's not actually gonna kill her. No one's gonna die. And Boruto says, you know, he's being too serious, which we see, you know, as viewers we do see. He's being way too serious. He's being majorly aggressive. You know, he's got bad boy energy. He's got Sasuke, early Sasuke energy, you know. And Boruto asks Kawaki why he's so flustered. And yeah, this is kind of early foreshadowing to him being uncomfortable, not being his whole self, you know, the whole Vase-kun bullshit. He's not whole anymore because his karma's not on him anymore. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. He tells Boruto that he isn't flustered at all, but then Sar just butts in again, but rightfully so, and tells Boruto that it's no use talking sense into him. You need to show him by force. And Boruto agrees, saying, "Alright, but don't butt in at all. I'm gonna do this my way. He's mine." And that was so fucking badass. And Kawaki just glares at him like, "Alright, it's on, bitch." And yeah, this is where we get to the good shit. Just as the fight is about to start, Sarada butts in again and asks what the hell's going on here, and Mitsuki basically tells her they're going to do a little drill. They're gonna do a little drill. That intrigues Kawaki. He says he's game, and Konohamaru is just watching from a distance, like, you know, in frustration because he can't really do anything because Naruto told him not to button. And it's really cool seeing Naruto in his Hokage attire. Like, he doesn't say a thing in his panel, but he just looks at the fight, he gazes at them, and he's got that, like, he gives off those old wise man vibes as Hokage. I think that was really cool. As usual before fights, our competitors, our characters have to talk to each other, you know, monologue towards one another. So this time, Boruto states that they used to do this all the time back when they first met, you know, argue all the time, you know, just fight, like solve everything through a fight. And Kawaki says, yeah, for sure, and Boruto was always the cause of this. And this is true, like, recently from the manga, we've never really seen them, like, yeah, they've bickered, for sure, but not, like, full-on gone at it towards each other, you know. They've been very brotherly. They have a bromance going on. And, yeah, they start fighting. There's this cool panel that's maybe or maybe not a reference to that shot from Naruto Shippuden filler episode, but it was very cool to see for me, I think. And Kawaki then modifies his right arm as usual. He always does his attack, and he extends. Boruto leaps. He dodges the attack, and produces some shadow clones. As usual in the Naruto series, shadow clones they don't really do so much. So Boruto shadow clones just they gang up on Kawaki. Kawaki he easily handles them. So he avoids them quite easily. And doing so, one of the clones, I think, forms a Rasengan, which Kawaki sees, and he shoots his projectiles at it, and it disperses them. But what's really cool about this is we've never actually seen Kawaki do this in the manga, but we have seen it in the anime when the anime adapted the Kawaki versus Garo fight, and as you know, in the manga that fight was pretty short, and the anime adapted it. It's just really cool seeing the anime and the manga, connect with one another, and they pay off in an interesting way. It's just really cool to see. Now, at this point, the real Boruto is just, from the looks of it in the manga, from the panel, he's just evading everything, and Kawaki is just, moving around to getting his footing right, and he modifies his arm again. Well, he reverts it back. It was a blade, but he reverts it back to his normal arm. Boruto sees this, and Kawaki then fires an energy blast, and this is when Boruto activates his karma at will, and that was really cool to see. Boruto activating the karma on his own, because from previous fights we've seen, he normally activates it when he's in trouble. I mean, he's been trying, but him doing this, like activating the karma on his own and absorbing Kawaki's blast with no issue at all, and then firing back his own lightning jutsu. That's so impressive for me. It's really impressive from Boruto. Now, Kawaki instinctively, reaches his left hand out, which had his karma seal, but we know he doesn't have it anymore. And surprise, surprise, he doesn't have shit. He gets hit with Boruto's lightning jutsu, the thunderclap arrow, which is pretty cool, by the way. And he's hurt pretty bad. He loses the sparring match, and everyone's watching, and Kawaki, you could see it in his eyes. He's disappointed in himself, and he has this inner monologue. He notes to himself that he unconsciously tried to absorb the attack, but he knows he can't do it anymore without karma. And we then see Boruto saying he wins, and that Kawaki has to wait his turn for a rematch.
I want my rematch. Something happened before the fight.
And sorry, I had to say it like that. And Kawaki doesn't reply at all. He's just really disappointed in himself. He's still continuing his inner monologue. He thinks he's totally pathetic. He questions his capabilities on protecting Naruto. Like, he doesn't believe he has enough power. And this is another comparison to early part 1 Sasuke, like his desire for power, because Naruto was surpassing him, always advancing, and he practically wasn't. So it's like a good comparison to part 1 Sasuke, and this is definitely foreshadowing. Boruto then goes up to him and says that he shouldn't carry this burden by himself. Kawaki shouldn't carry his burden by himself, and that they're a team, and that they're always going to be there for him. Teamwork, which is an essential part of being a shinobi. And this reminds me of Naruto's Talk no Jutsu. I guess Boruto gets his own Talk no Jutsu moment here. Yeah, and it's a really cool scene, because for quite a while, people have compared Boruto to Sasuke and Naruto to Kawaki, but in this chapter, I got the typical vibes of Sasuke with Kawaki, you know, like, let's say the anti-hero of the show, and then Boruto with Naruto, the protagonist of the show. It's like, I got those vibes rather than the usual vibes we get. It was really cool. So, yeah, Boruto says they're all there for him. He shouldn't take it on himself, and that he should rely on his friends, and that they'll do the same, and that they should just keep training and believe in one another.
Believe it!
The chapter then ends with Kawaki admitting defeat in the sparring match, you know, in a casual manner, but, you know, it ends with him, again, with his inner monologue, saying he swears he'll get stronger, no matter what it takes. Those are his exact words from the Viz translation. And yes, once again, this is very much like Part 1 Sasuke, and it's definitely foreshadowing. And yeah, there's also like one panel with Naruto and his inner monologue. He basically says, go for it, all of you, and may you get a lot stronger. He's just encouraging them. He really wants them to find their own paths as shinobi, and this is such a cool way to end the chapter, I think. So what do you guys think of chapter 58? Was it good? Was it bad? Let us know what you think down below in the comments. Do let us know if you liked our review, if you want to see more of it, any video ideas you guys could recommend down below in the comments. We'd be happy to interact with you guys. Do subscribe, like the video, share it amongst your friends if you found this in any way interesting. Have a great day.